Have you guys, have you ever thought what it would be like for California to still be part of Mexico? Before California was not part of the United States, but part of Mexico. It became part of Mexico. It became part of the United States with the idea of the manifest destiny, meaning for the United States to expand its territory across the Pacific. Um, Last quarter in my Chicanos class, we talked about the Treaty of Guadalupe, but my teacher never went into details, leaving me wanting to know more about it. So now I have the opportunity to inform you about it, which I've been doing research for about a week. Learning about the Treaty of Guadalupe will help us understand better of how the United States took part of Mexico. I will first discuss what was the cause for a treaty, then what was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, and finally what was the outcome of the treaty. So first, what was the cause for a treaty? According to National Park Service on April 2014, it states that Texas became independent from Mexico on 1835, wanting to become its own country, but Texas independence was never acknowledged by Mexico. In 1845, the United States annexed Texas, with both countries claiming different borderlines. The United States claimed the Rio Grande River, while Mexico claimed the Nueces River. Mexico did not like this idea, which sent its troops to cross the river and defeated the American soldiers, which led to war, because according to American President Polk, American blood was shed on American soil, even though it wasn't part of the United States. Now that I have discussed what was the cause for a treaty, let's move on to our second point. What was the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo? In order to understand the war between Mexico and the United States, I will discuss the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. According to reporter Howard LaFranchi in a 1997 article, he states that after so much fighting, American General Winfield Scott took over Mexico's capital, and Mexico's government surrendered on September 1847. Nicholas Trist was sent from the United States to make negotiations with Mexico, and later was asked to return, but he refused to return. The peace treaty was made on February 2nd, 1848. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was signed by only one American, which was Nicholas Trist, and if he had to return when he was asked, the peace treaty would not be made. It gave the United States California, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming, while the United States gave Mexico $15 million in return and had to recognize the Rio Grande River as the borderline between the two countries. The United States also had to pay any debts that Mexico owed. So after explaining the cause for a treaty and what was the Treaty of Guadalupe, let me discuss the outcome of the treaty. While it seemed that Mexico and the United States were finally in peace with each other, the treaty led to many outcomes. According to Sonia Hernandez in the Journal of Popular Culture in 2001, many Mexicans who were living in these areas became American citizens. They were treated as part of the United States by giving them rights such as liberty, the right to own land, and practice their religion freely, although these rights were violated by being treated unfairly and losing their right to own land. On March 10, 1848, the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo was finally ratified and ended war between the two countries. It deleted Article 10, which it was the right to own land. They saw them owning land as causing trouble between the two countries because it might bring up land grants from Texas independence. If it was brought up that the Tejanos, Mexicans living in Texas, could have got their land back from the Anglos that were taken away after Texas independence. Many Tejanos were mistreated by the Anglos and became working for them because the Anglos began to control the ranches. With the control that the Anglos were having over them, they made the Tejanos sell their land or they took their land away. Now that we know the cause for a treaty, what was the Treaty of Guadalupe and the outcome of the treaty, let's wrap things up. It is important to know about how the United States took over Mexico and increased its territory. First of all, I discussed the need for a treaty and what was the Treaty of Guadalupe and finally the outcome. Now there are still problems between the United States and Mexico, which are minor, and we need to think of having peace with each other. As Mexican writer Carlos Fuentes states, we Mexicans lost half of our national territory, so we must be sure that this United States and Mexico border heals and never bleeds again.